Do you want to carry your team and make your opponents rage quit? Have you been looking for a super in-depth guide for Genji? Well, look no further, for today I'll discuss everything you will need to know to reap and massacre your opposition and provide you some awesome tips to give you the edge over every single other Genji player. You know what is better than having a quick finger and a keen eye?
Knowledge. Knowledge.
Is the single most important thing that separates a Genji sensei from a Genji squire. After watching this video, I guarantee you'll be on your way to becoming a true Genji master, headhunting every single pesky bastion in Torbjorn you'll find. To start off this epic Genji guide, I want to clear a popular misconception that is applicable to all heroes of Overwatch. It is also very important for Genji as well. That misconception is the ultimate recharge rate. I will make an in-depth video of its own for the subject, but to briefly summarize, your ultimate ability will charge only when you deal damage to enemies. This damage can come from Genji's shurikens, reflects, charges, and more specifically, you will gain 4% of your overall ultimate charge if you land a headshot, 2% if you land a body shot. If you manage to land all 3 of your shurikens on the head, you'll gain 14%, while only 7 for the body. And it will take you exactly 4 minutes of prancing around the spawn and not doing literally anything to build up your full charge. Reflect is really interesting because it provides a percentage based on the damage reflected. So if you reflect Hanzo's arrow back at Hanzo's head, you will gain around 16% of your ultimate charge, and reflecting a single bullet from Soldier's rifle will only give you around 1. Note that killing enemies does not give you any bonus percentage to your ultimate, nor does assists. And also, when you're using your big sword and using your ultimate, any damage you do while using it will not contribute to your next ultimate, which is sad. Now, let's talk about Genji's Shuriken. They're a fascinating weapon, due to the fact that they have literally no fall off at range. Basically, you can stand as far as you want, and as long as you're hitting those targets, your damage will not be reduced from distance, which is incredibly awesome. The damage itself can be negated quite effectively by armor, but since there is not a lot of people that do have armor, this is not very applicable. So here are some basic numbers on Widowmaker, Reinhardt, and Roadhog. One would think that Roadhog is a tank, but if you look at his armor rating, it is completely different. So anyway, if you look at the Widow, and if you hit her in the legs or the arms, you'll deal 18 damage with one of your shurikens. If you land the body shot on the Widow, you'll deal 28 damage, while a headshot on a Widow will deal 56 damage. For a Roadhog, the numbers are the same. You deal 18 per arms and legs, 28 per body, and 15 per headshot. Reinhardt, however, is the tankiest of all. He does have armor, and he doesn't get the penalty from getting arms and legs and body damage discount. So you get 18% when you land on his shield, like the big barrier Reinhardt throws, so they'll do 18 damage per shuriken. 23 on a body and leg, and 51 for the head. So you can see that Reinhardt takes significantly less damage. And from these numbers, you can see that the normal times 2 crit multiplier does not always apply to Genji. So if you can, always aim at the head. It will melt. It will completely melt other people. Genji is one of the most agile heroes and really devastating ones if you let him free roam in your flanks and rear. Now, Genji's Swift Strike, the charge ability, it will propel him towards the direction of his crosshair. However, it will also deal 50 damage to each passing enemy. And this damage will not get reduced no matter how many enemies you have. So if you have 4 enemies in front of you and you go through all of them, they'll all receive 50 damage. Now, there's a popular misconception that Genji's charge leaves a dot on the target. But that is simply not the case. The charge just deals a flat 50 damage. Note that it will deal only 45% on Reinhardt. Reinhardt, for some reason, takes 10% less damage, Now, Genji has also melee attack. Now, pretty much every single hero in the game has a melee attack, but Genji's is really, really, really weak. You need to be extremely close, and I'm talking like you need to be face-hugging them. And the only time you would be close with Genji is when you're using your ultimate. And when you're using your ultimate, you have a really big sword that deals around 120 damage. Not around, it deals exactly 120 damage. So using your melee then is really useless. And when you do manage to charge into someone and you are really close to them without using your ultimate, it is pretty much always a better idea to use your shurikens, because your melee will only deal 30 damage. And a shuriken will land 28 per shuriken. So if you manage to hit all 3 shurikens while really close, which is really easy, you can get a really decent like 80-90 damage off while only 30 when you're using your melee. So, and it will deal only 25 on Reinhardt the melee. So you can see that using your melee is never, ever, ever a good idea. You should never be using your melee as a Genji. Now, Genji's Reflect is one of the best abilities in the game, and it can reflect almost everything, including Hanzo's ultimate, Pharaoh's ultimate, pretty much every single projectile and shot. However, the only things that can bypass it are energy weapons like Maze Blaster and Symmetra's Orbs. Note that the Reflect works in a 45-degree cone in front of you, and it will not reflect projectiles hitting you in the back, so you need to be careful around there. Another serious mistake I see a lot of people doing when playing Genji is not using the reflect correctly. Basically, you need to be pointing the cursor, the crosshair at the target when you're using reflect. You can be pointing at the other target, but you need to be pointing at something when you're using your reflect because that is where the reflect is going to be shooting at. And it is really interesting because you can point exactly at the enemy's head, another enemy. So you say Hanzo's shooting you, and you point at like a Widowmaker's head, and you score a headshot on a Widowmaker's head. Really awesome. Now for the pro tips. Genji's projectiles don't travel instantly, and they don't even travel altogether. So you need to be really good at leading your crosshair if you really want to be effective at longer distances. Another really good tip I noticed, so number two, Genjis, they really forget to use their reflect when using their ultimate. And this is a big problem because when you're using your ultimate, you're still really squishy. You're still going to die after any kind of sustained fire. So just use your reflect. It will save your life. It saved my life many times. And yeah, just definitely use your reflect when using the ultimate. Very useful. And number three, in higher level matches and even in quick play, you should always be using voice chat and just communicating with your team because as Genji, you can get to places where pretty much nobody else can get to. And you can inform your team really well. You can be like, okay, there's a Bastion here, there's a Reinhardt there, Roadhog coming there, and just communication will definitely win you more games than all the map awareness and knowledge you can get. Now, speaking of map awareness, that's my fourth tip. You really be need to know the map for Genji. This is not true for a lot of heroes, but for Genjis and Tracers, you really need to know the locations of those health packs without looking. Like I'm talking, you just need to turn and then just dash and you're on the health pack, Without thinking, this needs to be intuitive. So spend a little bit of time, run around the map, find the location of all the health packs, and just try to remember them. And this is going to improve your gameplay massively. Now, another really useful tip, so tip number 5. When you use your ultimate, don't charge and just start swinging left, right, and hope you're going to kill everything. You won't. Because unlike Reinhardt has a 150-degree arc, so he can swirl around himself and just kill everything around him. With Genji, you only have 45 degrees to play with. So you really, really, really need to make sure you're landing those ultimate hits precisely on the enemy. Don't go charging and just swing left, right, right, and just imagine that you're going to kill everything. You won't. You're going to die. You're going to die really fast. So don't do it. Just be precise, go in, cut them, and just leave. Now, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this guide, and before I finish, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Joshua Hat for helping me test all of these numbers, and Caldor TV for allowing me to use the footage of a professional Genji player, Fisher. Now, I do definitely recommend you check out Caldor TV. He has amazing commentary for professional matches in both Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch and many other games, so definitely check him out. He's a really good commentator and a really good guy. So, thank you guys for watching, and remember, always be thirsty for more
knowledge.